never thought the people who shared my blood would become the ones who broke me the most. Growing up, I believed family was unbreakable. I believed that no matter how hard life got, family was the one place where you were always safe. That belief stayed with me for years. Through struggles, through failures, through moments when the rest of the world turned its back on me, I held on to it like a promise, like a truth that could never change. I was wrong. My name doesn't really matter. What matters is that I trusted the wrong people with the most fragile parts of my life. It all started when I moved back home after losing everything I had worked for. A failed business, drained savings, and a confidence so low I barely recognized myself in the mirror. I didn't move back because I wanted to. I moved back because I had no other choice. And my family welcomed me with open arms. At least, that's what it looked like on the surface. They smiled. They hugged me. They told me, "You're home. We've got you." I believed them. At first, things felt normal. Warm dinners, late-night conversations, laughter that echoed through the house like old times. My mother would check on me every morning, asking if I'd slept well. My older brother would tell me not to worry, that setbacks happen, that real men fall and rise again. My sister would sit beside me and remind me of who I used to be, but there was something underneath all of it, something I couldn't explain at the time. A tension in the air, a quiet judgment hiding behind polite words. I ignored it. When you're broken, you don't question kindness. You cling to it. A few weeks later, my uncle came into the picture. He was respected in the family, known as the smart one, the man who always knew how to make money. He listened patiently as I told him about my failed business, about where things went wrong, about the debts that kept me awake at night. He nodded slowly, then said something that felt like hope. "I have an idea," he said, "but it only works if we do it together." He explained a small investment plan. "Nothing illegal, nothing risky," he said. "Just a temporary arrangement. The family would help me get back on my feet. And once I stabilized, I'd repay every dollar." He spoke with confidence, with authority. And most importantly, my family backed him up. "This is family," my brother said. "We trust each other." That word, trust, was the chain I wrapped around my own neck. I agreed. They asked me to put my name on a few documents. They said it was just a formality. Something about paperwork moving faster if everything was under one. Maybe mine. I hesitated for a moment. But the room was full of familiar faces. People who had watched me grow up. People who had held me when I was a child. Why would they hurt me? So I signed. Weeks passed. Then months. The business didn't grow the way they promised. Every time I asked questions, I was told to be patient. Every time I showed concern, I was reminded of how much they were doing for me. Slowly, the tone changed. I went from being supported to being blamed. If something went wrong, it was my fault. If money was lost, it was because I didn't understand business. The same people who once comforted me now spoke to me with disappointment in their voices. Conversations stopped when I entered the room. Whispers followed me down hallways. Then one afternoon, everything collapsed. I received a call from a bank. They asked about unpaid loans. Loans I had never taken, amounts I had never seen. My heart started racing as the man on the phone calmly explained that everything was under my name. Every document, every signature. I felt dizzy. I called my uncle. No answer. I called my brother. He sounded irritated, like I was bothering him. When I confronted him, his response chilled me. "You signed the papers," he said. "You should have read them." That's when I realized the truth. This wasn't a mistake. It was a plan. They had used my broken state, my desperation, my trust, as a weapon against me. They had protected themselves by putting everything in my name. And when things went bad, they stepped away, leaving me alone to face the consequences. That night, I sat in my room staring at the ceiling, listening to the sounds of my family laughing in the living room, the same people who were now quietly destroying my future. I didn't sleep. The next morning, my mother avoided my eyes. My sister told me to stay calm and not make things worse. My uncle finally answered my call and said something I will never forget. "This is life," he said. "Everyone looks out for themselves. Family." That word no longer meant what it used to. I packed my bag that evening. No dramatic goodbye, no confrontation, just silence. As I walked out of the house, I felt a strange mix of pain and clarity. They had taken my money, my peace, my reputation, but they hadn't taken my ability to see the truth. Sometimes betrayal doesn't come from enemies. Sometimes it comes from the people who know exactly where it will hurt the most. And that was only the beginning. I thought walking away would make the pain easier. I was wrong again. The moment I stepped out of that house, reality hit me harder than any argument ever could. I had no home, no savings, and now no family to fall back on. Just a phone full of missed calls from banks and numbers I didn't recognize, all asking for money I never truly had. The first night, I slept on a friend's couch. He didn't ask questions. Maybe he saw it in my face. That hollow look people get when they've been drained from the inside out. I stared at the ceiling all night, replaying every moment in my head. Every signature, every smile that now felt fake. By morning, the fear settled in. This wasn't just emotional betrayal. This was legal, serious, dangerous. I met with a lawyer a few days later. A quiet office, cold walls, papers stacked everywhere. He flipped through the documents slowly, his face growing more serious with every page. "You're responsible for this," he said calmly. "Legally." My chest tightened. I tried to explain. The family, the trust, the manipulation. He listened, nodded, then said the sentence that broke something inside me. "Trust doesn't matter in court." I walked out of that office feeling smaller than I ever had before. The next few months were a blur of stress and silence. My phone rang constantly. Creditors, threats, deadlines. I stopped answering unknown numbers. I stopped opening emails. I stopped sleeping. Food lost its taste. Days lost their meaning. What hurt more than the money was the loneliness. I would scroll through social media and see my family smiling in pictures, weddings, dinners, holidays. They looked happy, unbothered, like I never existed. Like I was just a bad chapter they had quietly erased. I wanted to scream. I wanted to expose them. I wanted justice. But I was tired. There were nights I sat alone, thinking maybe this was it. Maybe this was where my story ended. Not with success, not with peace, but with debt, shame, and silence. Then one night something changed. I was sitting in my car, parked outside a gas station, staring at my reflection in the windshield. I barely recognized the person looking back at me. Older, broken, angry, and suddenly I felt it. Not hope, anger, but not the kind that destroys you, the kind that wakes you up. I realized something in that moment. They had taken advantage of me, but they didn't own me. They controlled the past, not my future. And as unfair as it was, I had two choices. Let this story bury me, or let it build me. So I stopped running. I answered the calls. I faced the numbers. I worked multiple jobs, ones I never imagined myself doing. Early mornings, late nights, no weekends, no excuses. Every dollar I earned went toward survival and damage control. It was humiliating at first, but slowly, something powerful happened. I became disciplined. I learned things my family never taught me. About contracts, about money, about boundaries, about people. I learned that being kind doesn't mean being careless. That love without limits can become self-destruction. Months turned into a year. The debt didn't disappear overnight. But I wasn't drowning anymore. I was swimming, slowly, painfully, but forward. One afternoon, my phone rang. A familiar number. My mother. I stared at the screen for a long time before answering. Her voice was soft, careful. She asked how I was doing. Said the family missed me. Said maybe it was time to move on. I listened quietly. Then I said something I had practiced in my head 100 times. "I have moved on," I said. "Just not back." Silence filled the line. For the first time, I felt strong. Not because I had won. Not because I was rich again. But because I finally chose myself. Betrayal taught me what loyalty never did. Pain taught me what comfort couldn't. And losing everything showed me who I really was. Some people lose family and lose themselves. I lost my family and found myself. Healing didn't come all at once. It came quietly. In small moments most people would never notice. It came the first morning I woke up without fear sitting on my chest. It came the day I checked my bank balance and didn't feel ashamed. It came the first time I laughed, real laughter, without remembering who had hurt me. Life didn't magically get easier, but it became clearer. I stopped expecting apologies that were never going to come. I stopped waiting for people to suddenly realize what they had done. Because the truth is, some people know exactly what they did and sleep just fine anyway. Closure doesn't always come from others. Sometimes closure is something you give yourself. I moved to a new place. Small, quiet, nothing fancy. Just 4 walls and peace. For the first time in a long time, my space felt safe. No whispers behind my back. No hidden intentions. No emotional landmines waiting to explode. Just silence. And healing lives in silence. I rebuilt slowly. Not just financially, but mentally, emotionally, spiritually. I learned to say no without guilt. I learned to walk away without explaining myself. I learned that boundaries aren't walls. They're doors you choose to open, only for the right people. People often ask me now, "Do you miss your family?" I pause before answering. I don't miss the betrayal. I don't miss the manipulation. I don't miss shrinking myself to keep others comfortable. But I do miss the version of me that believed love was always safe. That version is gone. And that's okay, because the person I became is stronger. One evening, while sorting old documents, I found copies of those papers I had signed years ago. The same signatures that once made my hands shake now felt distant, like they belonged to someone else. I didn't burn them. I kept them, not as a reminder of pain, but as proof of growth. They remind me that I survived something that could have destroyed me. They remind me that trust without awareness can be dangerous, but awareness without bitterness is power. Today, my life isn't perfect, but it's honest. I earn what I have. I protect my peace, and I no longer confuse blood with loyalty. Here's the truth most people don't talk about. Some family members don't want to see you healed. They want to see you quiet, dependent, small, because your growth reminds them of their guilt. If you're watching this and you're going through betrayal, especially from family, listen carefully. It is not weak to walk away. It is not selfish to choose peace. And it is not wrong to rebuild without the people who broke you. You don't owe access to anyone who proved they couldn't be trusted with your heart. Sometimes, losing everything is the moment life gives you everything that actually matters. Clarity, strength, freedom. And if no one has told you this yet, I'm proud of you for surviving what you didn't deserve. This was True Life Chronicles, and this was a true story.